Travis Reier of the BamaOnline.com staff from just outside Alabama's practice on Wednesday. The Crimson Tide outdoors once again today in full pads for the first time this spring. The players earlier seemed kind of excited about the prospect of getting out there in full pad work, so it'll be interesting to see how they come out of this first full pad practice, although 2016 a lot different than even 5-10 years ago, where you saw a lot of teams doing full contact, tackling to the ground, things like that. Alabama among the teams more about thud, getting that initial contact, but not really driving guys to the turf, or a lot of full tackling. I'm sure there'll be periods in today's practice where they do some of that, but it won't be practice long. But Crimson Tide out there, and once again, spring practice, the nature of it, taking a look at guys at different positions. Not as much moving around today as we saw in Monday's practice, perhaps. Josh McMillan, the outside linebacker who worked inside during Monday's individual drills, during individual drills today, was back with Jeremy Pruitt and the inside linebackers. The situation in the defensive backfield was still pretty much the same as Monday, with Maurice Smith working with the safeties, not only in individual drills, but also in some of the teamwork that they came together and did during the second period that we were out there. Maurice Smith working at safety, Ronnie Harrison, obviously a key part of that mix right now, and Deontay Thompson, the redshirt freshman, who bounced between wide receiver and safety a little bit in his first year in the program, appears to have settled in at safety and is getting a lot of reps at the safety spot, along with Lawrence Hootie Jones, Sean Burgess-Becker, and a cast of others. Obviously, Eddie Jackson limited this spring, and you know he'll be back as a starter in the fall. So some things going on in the defensive backfield worth taking note of. At that corner spot, Tony Brown still working with those guys as he did on Monday. A lot of guys working at the nickel spot, that star position in the five defensive backs. Pretty much all the corners out there today were getting a look inside, including Marlon Humphrey, Anthony Averett, Kendall Sheffield, who's also working at corner, obviously. A lot of those guys working inside at the star position in the nickel package. So plenty of moving parts, as you might expect this time of year. Again, trying to figure things out, repping guys at some different spots, seeing how much they can handle, how much they can retain, and then once you get to fall camp, you begin to narrow it down and really get into installing what you want to do during the season. Now, offensively, we saw some movement on that offensive line the first couple of days with Ross Pierce-Baker working at the center spot. Today, talking with my colleague, Charlie Potter, he spent a lot of his time down on that end of the field. He'll have a practice report up for you here in just a little bit, by the way, on BamaOnline.com. He noticed Jonah Williams getting a real long look at left tackle and Lester Cotton working at the right tackle position. So we know they've got a lot of things to sort out, especially at that right tackle spot. With Cam Robinson limited, a lot of reps available at the left tackle position during the spring at least, and it looks like mid-year enrollee Jonah Williams is certainly in that mix, as we expected. A guy who just really stood out as a high school football player and looks to physically be capable of contributing very early on in his Alabama career. But a couple of items of note at the tackle position. We've focused on center a little bit, but obviously some things they need to take care of, not only in terms of a starter on the right side, but depth. It's one area where they've been a little bit lacking the last few years, but it looks like through recruiting, they've addressed that situation pretty nicely with Williams, Cotton, Matt Womack, some of the other guys that they brought in. Charles Baldwin, the junior college transfer, obviously expected to be a part of that as well. So I spent a lot of time actually on the other end of the field today, and you'll see video of this on BamaOnline.com coming up in an hour or so. I'll get it up as quickly as I can. Quarterbacks and receivers, and was really impressed by what I saw from the quarterbacks today. You know, I can tell you, even in August and fall camp, in individual drills, we saw the quarterbacks really struggle to throw the football. I didn't see that much at all today. I thought Cooper Bateman, Blake Barnett, David Cornwell, Jalen Hurts, the true freshman, all threw it extremely well. The receivers, as you might expect, look pretty good out there with Calvin Ridley and Ardarius Stewart. Robert Foster continues to move extremely well. So a group that really looks like it's got a lot of great things in front of it when you talk about the upcoming season and the ability to just take the top off of defenses at not just one spot. Usually your X receiver is that guy like Calvin Ridley or Amari Cooper or Julio Jones, but when your other two spots can do it, that's when you become extremely tough, and that's what they look like they're going to have at the wide receiver positions. If they want to run 3 or 4 verticals right down the seams and right down the outside parts of the field, good luck to opposing safeties trying to figure that out, because they're going to have the kind of speed and explosiveness on the outside to really hit on some big plays if the quarterback play comes through. And I don't really think these quarterbacks are going to have to make a ton of difficult throws. We've seen that in the last 2 years with Lane Kiffin. If there's one thing that he's done maybe as good as anything else, and he's done plenty of good things, is that he's put the quarterback in winning situations a ton. And so I think that's something that we'll continue to see, but you're going to have guys in matchups that are very favorable. So that should make life much easier for another first-year starter at quarterback for Alabama coming up in the fall. So quarterbacks, wide receivers, watched Nick Saban really coach up those defensive backs down there on that end of the field too. Saw a lot of the individual instruction that he's able to provide. Also in conjunction with new secondary coach Derek Ansley, some good stuff down there with the corners and safeties. So, that's where I was mostly at. About your typical March practice in Tuscaloosa, and it looks like this team, in terms of any new injuries or anything like that, not much to report, which is obviously very, very good news. So stay tuned right here to BamaOnline.com. Again, Charlie Potter will have up a practice report here momentarily on the website. I'll have video that really focuses mostly on quarterbacks and receivers. We'll have photo gallery, obviously, and some other thoughts from Wednesday's practice. The Crimson Tide will return to the practice field on Friday for a workout, and then they'll break for the Easter weekend. No scrimmage on Saturday, no Saturday practice. They'll come back Monday, and then the first full scrimmage of 2016 spring drills 1 week from this Saturday. So a lot going on next week, but still plenty to cover on Friday as well. So keep it right here on our Facebook page, BamaOnline.com, but also obviously keep it on the website, BamaOnline.com, for more coverage from Wednesday's practice. We'll have plenty coming throughout the evening.